Well, howdy, all you collector car fans out there. This is Jason, the owner and founder of Southern Bush Motorsports. Well, this is just a crazy tales from the bush. Boy, this was a really big part of my career. I called it the Chevroley MAtrix because it was insane. Look at all these cars there. Now, when I tell you about all these cars, it's going to be really hard to believe it, but I'm telling you, it's the truth. There's a Munstermobile, something like that right there. So this place was in North Carolina. Now, I ended up being out here for probably a month straight. I lived in a hotel, and that was just a whole different experience like that, waking up every day in a hotel. But this guy had amassed a collection of cars, and he just had this passion for having these cars, and he bought all these cars at auction, and he just kept filling up this building that he had. Now, what this guy did for a living was, when you're driving on the side of the road, or the side of the highway, and you see these big billboards. This guy was actually really smart. He would buy up the property to put those billboards up on the side of the highway. And in Canada we got Jimmy Pattison that did all that, but we're talking this is the United States. And this guy did the same thing. He bought up these small parts of property to put up these big billboards along the highway, property that nobody would ever use because it's beside a highway. So he probably got it pretty cheap. But anyways, the guy was loaded. He had a lot of money. He was in a wheelchair. When I met him, he wasn't too, enthused about me coming in there. But, I ended up having dinner with him and stuff. And he said, just do your thing. So I was actually the first person that was ever allowed into this property, into the fullest extent of their property, where everything was. At backgrounds, backyards, backfields, in the building, everywhere. So needless to say, this guy had some Shia stuff. You know what I mean? But the craziest thing about this is after spending a month in here, you see all these SS Chevelles and Yanko Camaros and GTOs. The unfortunate thing about this entire location that I was at, every single one of these cars, SS's, RS's, GTOs, I mean, look at this place. It's just full of cars. Every single one of these cars were fake. Clones. Not real. That Z28 right there, friggin' beautiful car. I mean, that car was restored to the T. Absolute clone. I don't know. Look at that RS. Oh my God, that's my dream car right there. I don't know if the guy honestly knew what he was doing, or if he did it on purpose. I never really got to the bottom of all of that. But when I told him that every one of these cars was a clone, he didn't even flinch. Just, yeah, it is what it is. But the thing is, somebody could go into a place like this and pick up one of these cars. You're seeing these cars out in a separate area because I had to pull a lot of these cars out of the building and take pictures of them because they were so close together. And that's a Yanko Nova. I think it was a total clone. So, there was, I think, 2 or 3 cars that were real. But it was just, and the craziest part about this place is these cars were beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. They were what they were. They were beautifully restored cars. But I just couldn't believe, that's why I was out there for a month, because not only was there hundreds of cars, I had to spend all the time to go through and document these cars, check VIN numbers, run numbers on engines and stuff. And I had full access to the place from morning till night. The thing that really got to me was these, people were coming through here. It was an open dealership. People were coming through and checking out these cars, and it is mind-boggling. When you walk into this place, it's absolutely mind-boggling. Oh, that was a separate car that I found. That wasn't at this dealership. It was a separate car, that Jaguar. That thing was absolutely insane. It was so perfect. See that car right there? That's a Jackson Z28, but that thing had a 427 Corvette motor in it. I mean, and it was on NOS, had nitrous system. So anyways, back to this collection. People are walking around, spending their Saturday afternoon looking at these crazy, beautiful cars in this building. And every one of these cars is beautiful. He bought these cars at auctions. They were restored properly. And it was so painful to watch these people buy these cars thinking they were getting what they were getting. And I watched a lot of sales happen when I was there. And not my place to say anything, but it was like, these people are paying. None of these cars were over 50 grand. Not a single one in there was under 50. 57 Chevy Bel Air convertible I found on a cotton plantation. That's not part of it. I stuck that in there because it was just a cool find. God, that was a crazy find right there. Crazy, crazy, crazy. But this place, I sat there and watched these cars go through. People coming through, buying these cars, and it was such a. I just wanted to tell everybody, look, man, that's not a real SS. That's not a real SS Chevelle. It's not a real RS Camaro. Like it's just, I couldn't do it. These are all cars that were sitting outside of the place that the guy had collected over the years. And if this guy sees this video, he's gonna be pretty pissed. But at the end of the day, he knew what he was doing. He knew these cars were clones. He was selling them as they were, and he was making good money on these cars. And there wasn't anything I could do about it. I just kept taking pictures of these cars and that. But I ended up not trying to sell any of these guys' cars because it was a waste of a month. It was a complete waste of a month. And I don't regret it because I got a lot of cool pictures. Again, these are all cars that are sitting outside of this place. And the worst thing is, all these cars that are sitting outside that are junk that need to be restored, they're real cars. They're real SS 396, 427, 454 Chevrolet cars. I mean, they were all real. But his restoration process never really got going. There wasn't really much of a restoration area in his building to restore these cars. But look at these things. I mean, that car right there, that was cool. When I brought that thing outside, that sounded great. It drove great. Man, it was really cool. That Chevelle right there, absolutely beautiful, stunning, solid, super solid car, and complete fake. It was so bloody frustrating being out there. There's a picture I slipped in of an old plantation that a guy had collected cars. And you wonder where every station wagon in the world went. It was probably there. But look at that car. Absolutely stunning 70 Chevelle SS. 454 cowl induction. And it is a bloody clone. It's a clone. It's not real. It was made up. So frustrating, man, because I couldn't say anything. And I said to him a couple times, man, you got to be straight with people and just, tell them what they're buying and stuff. He's like, look, it's up to people to check their own. No, it's not, man. I mean, you got such a massive building here. It's beautiful. You got all these beautiful cars in here. Whether you knew you were buying clones or not, basically it was a place, if you wanted to get into a muscle car for 50 grand or under, this was definitely the place to be. But, I don't know. I didn't like the way the guy handled the whole situation, and once I started investigating these cars and checking them out, running numbers and stuff, I actually started getting a little bit pissed that this guy was doing this. The whole point of what this guy's idea was is to get everybody, as many people as possible, into a muscle car, into a nice driving muscle car. And I mean, he succeeded. There was all kinds of muscle cars there, nice driving muscle cars, but the approach on it, he ended up getting a little bit ticked off of me at the end, and after a month, I wasn't allowed back there. But look at all these cars, man, out in the back, out in the forest and stuff that he had collected through other auctions and stuff that he was going to try to get his guys to restore. But the restoration area that he had set apart, more of a show and tell area that we were trying to restore these cars, was about the same area as like a 3-car garage. But yet his building was like 1 million square feet where he had all the restored cars. But there was more gold mines out in this field because these were all real SS cars and 396 and RS cars and Camaros and stuff. I mean, this I think that was a Caprice there. This car's insane. Wait till you see the pictures on this car. I believe this was I can't remember if it was a 427 Caprice, but it was a big block Caprice. The car was super solid, completely untouched, unrestored car. Nothing on this car had ever been taken off. Look at that interior. That's a manual shift interior with all the gauges, all the bells and whistles. Look at all those gauges there. This was so cool to see this. It was like a time capsule looking at this car. I mean, nothing on this car had ever been done to it. It was complete. It was like somebody drove it. The gas kind of screwed up the engine because they took the regular out of the lead out of the gas, and somebody just parked this thing. But he had real cars like this on the property, and chose to just keep going with all these clone cars. I mean, look at that shit. Actually, that looks like somebody put an automatic shifter in a manual shift car. I mean, I don't even know how that thing looks. Why? That looks weird. Low mileage car too, but super cool car. Just to me, it just made no sense why this guy was having the real cars rotting out back. There's the pedals right there. He had all these real cars rotting out back, and he was selling all these nice clones to the people that didn't know any better. And it was just, I don't know, it felt like a Ponzi scheme to me. I wanted to stop it all, but I couldn't. But it, you know, it was what it was. Well, I appreciate you coming by and checking out another Tales from the Bush. And, you know, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you can help with our Patreon page, that would be very much appreciated to keep us going. And come back and see us again soon.